Hey, everybody. Welcome again to another broadcast here for the Retire Happy, the financial coaching for Christian families. Um, of course, in our group here, we're talking about full comprehensive, planning, retirement planning that's both non-financial and financial, because I fully believe it takes a full comprehensive plan that accounts for all areas to build up that retirement happy factor that I call the retirement framework. So that framework consists of non-financial things as well as financial things, and all the aspects that go into that. If you're new to the group, welcome. If you've been in the group for a while, welcome back. I know we've changed things up a little bit, and we're going to be going into a lot more things and offering a lot more avenues for you guys. So what we do is we help people, retire happy. We get ready for that plan. We help people plan for that happy retirement, and that, like I said earlier, that reflects into non-financial things as well as financial things. Put it all together. But the main thing here is what I think is missing in today's, which is why I created this group and the programs that we've created, is there's not enough education for people. A lot of advisors just go out there and hand you a plan and say, "Here you go. Just trust me." Well, of course, you should trust your advisor. Like I would hope people would trust me as their advisor. But I fully believe in being transparent and educating as you go along. That way, you have a full understanding of what's going on. You can help out to execute things, or you can, bring on advisors to do that. So we really focus on education, and then also providing plans for people. Here recently this week, we've talked a lot about. You've seen some of my posts about some new program offerings, so I hope you've checked that out. If you haven't seen those, go back into the group, check some of those posts out, make a comment on there. Put a happy in the comments, and we'll get back to you in regards to what that looks like and what the program will look like for you. And the offering is, I'd love to chat with you, or you can just simply do that in this live chat here as well. Just place a message down there as happy. The word happy in the comments, but also hit me up with the live, or hit me up with a hashtag live or hashtag replay. Let me know how you're watching it. So glad to have you guys here. A lot more on the programs and that stuff coming forth. But tonight it does end. There's a special offer to get into that program that ends tonight at 10 p.m. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Happy to discuss with you. Tonight we're going to talk about the treasure target. Before anybody gets into full financial planning or retirement planning, you got to have a solid foundation. That solid foundation is multiple things. It is financial 101 basics that, you got to have budgeting, debt management, all those different things that go into pure financial 101, personal financial 101. Because you need those foundations in order to be successful, carrying that out, have a chance of success at carrying out your plan later on. And the other aspect of that is it has to be God-centered. It has to be found in biblical principles, which we do here in our group. So what I want to do tonight in another session, and you can go out and look at some of the past videos, but we'll talk about some of the financial 101 stuff down the line. But in order to have that happy factor, if you will, of course, the contentment is going to come through our Savior Jesus Christ, but at the same time, we have to be good stewards of what we're being given and what we're being provisioned. And it's amazing that in the Bible, there's so many different verses and lessons that are taught on money and stewardship. So I want to start there tonight and talk about some of the foundational components there. In another session, we'll talk about some of the non-financial things. But as I mentioned, we got to have that complete plan, every factor, to really get into that full holistic planning. Some of you may be wondering, what do I mean by holistic planning? Well, the holistic side of it is what I alluded to earlier, the non-financial side and the financial side. So the non-financial sides are, lifestyle. What do you want to get out of retirement? What's your purpose going to be? What are you going to do? The transition from a working life to the retirement life. It's a big jump for people, and you got to plan for that. And that really has a big impact on how you feel in retirement. And you should really define that first. And that's one thing we do in our programs is we define that first, because then we build your financial plans and the rest of your retirement plan around that to make sure that can happen for you. So let's talk about some foundational stuff. I love to use this thing. It's called the Treasure Target. Let me share my screen over here. Give me just a second. Here we go. Let's bring this up. So the treasure target, this is great foundational for the financial one-on-one basics, but over your overall plan. And this fits really nicely into retirement planning as well, and how, as you can see here, God is at the center, or God owns everything. And we're going to put it down to the experiential financial freedom. But to get there, we got to go through all these different rings and quadrants. But at the outside set here, God owns it all. And that's, like I said earlier, we got to be good stewards of what he's been provisioned with us. We got to be ready for his call on our life, and that means both emotionally but also financially. If we're going to be good stewards, then some of that is, he never said that he doesn't want us to have money, but at the same time, that he wants us to be ready for where he calls us to go, hence being good stewards, right? So let's talk about this a little bit. So we have 4 quadrants here. We got live, give, owe, and grow, and you can kind of fit the majority of base principles in those different quadrants. You have different quadrants, and then you have these different rings and levels that go down throughout to get you into that center piece, which is experience financial freedom. Okay, now there's different aspects to each one of these rings, and so as we go through, if you have questions specifically about one of those specific areas, put a comment in the comment section, send me a Facebook message and let me know if you have some specific I can't talk tonight, specific questions in regards to a topic, and we'll be more than happy to have a session on that and dive into it. So let's review this. Let's start over here with the live section. Spend less than you earn. Well, that's a pretty basic concept, right? Track monthly expenses, create and maintain a spending plan, and set lifestyle for the finish line. So, that was what I was talking about earlier, is the foundational stuff, the personal financial 101, track monthly spending. You got to know where your money's going in order to be able to effectively manage it. And then you're going to create and maintain a budget and a spending plan around that. We have whole videos and sections in and around that. This is all about, tracking and planning and budgeting your personal finance. And then really from determining what you have there is you can set your lifestyle and set it, in the mindset to hit the finish line, and that, how much is enough. And you should build in there, obviously, your giving, should build in the margin, meaning, the buffer to account for those things that are kind of the unknown. So the way this works is, you work on the outer ring, you do all these things first, and you work your way in, and they may not necessarily line up specifically. You may be in the live category, you may be out here in the give category, you may be over here. But it's a general principle, and we would help guide you through that. Over here on the give side, you have start giving. You just got to start giving. I mean, if we start with our tithes at 10%, start with our tithes. Or if you just haven't got over that hurdle, at least take the step to give something and be a cheerful giver. And then you move into the percentage giving, which is really more the tithing, the 10%. And then the sacrificial giving, that's more the offering side, right? You got the 10% tithing, anything above that is really an offering, or maybe you're giving to other charities and helping other people out as well. That's the sacrificial giving, to where you're giving above and beyond, the 10%. That's going to give you a different sense of peace and happiness there as well. And then on the O side, avoid using debt, right? So there's some good debt and there's some bad debts. We go a lot deeper into that into some other sessions here, but repay credit card debts, first thing. That's going to kill you. Repay all debt except for mortgage. So student loans, installment loans, those kind of things come next. And then the last thing is repaying your mortgage. But the repaying your mortgage stuff can be a little bit tricky. It's very personal depending on where you're at, what your plans are, as to when, and how you do that, right? So that's gets into a personalized planning, which all of this, everybody, it's not a one size fits all. Everybody has their own life, their own lifestyle, their own goals, their own dreams, their own financial situations and circumstances. So, if someone's out there telling you about, well, just come up with a number and do X, that's not realistic. Everybody should have a personalized plan, and that's really what we're all about and promoting that. So that's the O section. You got to have that under control. Like I said, not all debt is bad debt, but definitely there's ways to get rid of the credit cards, and there's ways to use those more positively and successfully, but not carrying large balances on there. And then the growth side, the maintain margin, and margin is that buffer, that X, that's you're bringing in X, you're sending out Y, but there's a difference there, and there's excess, or there's a margin. So the first thing is there's 2 different levels of emergency funds, and basically what that is the first realm is say, you got a car repair or your appliance breaks down, you have money to pay for that without going into debt, without putting it on a credit card. But the trick is, once you pay that or spend it, you got to put it back. You got to replenish that fund. The next level of that is saving 3 to 6 months of living expenses. That's if something, heaven forbid that you get laid off or something happens, and you need to have some money to live off of. And then the last thing here is fantastic, save for God-given goals. So we're doing all these other things. We're tracking, we're budgeting, we're giving, we're managing our debt. And then, what is God calling on your heart to do? Is it helping others? Is it helping charities? Is it, whatever it is? What has God called you to do to put your money, or, where to put your money? That's huge. And that's also where I was talking about earlier, is what is God calling you to do, not only from a charitable standpoint, but, if he's called you to go serve somewhere, if he's called you into a job, whatever it may be, are you in the position to do that, both mentally, but financially as well? So all this helps us be prepared. All that's foundational, right? We got to be ready for it. You'll find this treasure target in the guide section up there. It's posted in under the guides. But I just really love this. I think everybody can relate to it. It's simple to digest. We're focusing in on a target to get to that financial freedom that I know we all want to experience. But so we got to start here. Let's bring in those biblical principles. It's crazy that, what Jesus taught all those years ago still applies today. From a principle standpoint, it's all the same. The principles are the same, and it applies even to modern day. Some people say, oh, no, that's, how can that relate? Money back then and finances back then were totally different. It's not the money itself, it's the principles, it's the process, it's how we go about it. It is still all the same. And who wouldn't want to take advice from Jesus, right? I mean, but it actually does play in very nicely to even today's modern world. That's one thing we do as well, is we help marry that stuff together. So you guys, have you started with that? Have you thought about your finances from a spiritual side of thing? Let me stop sharing the screen here real quick. Because that puts us in the right mindset. It puts us in the mindset of being good stewards, and it's just found sound financial principle advice. And there are definitely ways to apply that into the modern world. Even though the modern world finances are so much more confusing, when you get into investments and how to save and how to plan and the taxes and all those kind of things, it can be complicated. But that's where we start. So 2 foundations. There's a biblical foundations. There's a personal finance foundations, critical to having that happy retirement. You got to have those 2 together. One is critical, I think, just from a personal finance daily living, but then to plan for your retirement successfully, it's a cornerstone of the framework. So we have a Retire Happy framework, and this is a foundation of it, is, like I mentioned, personal finance 101, and in addition to the biblical foundations. So, one thing we always say here is, as well, I love this saying, is when it comes to money, we'll either worship wealth, or we'll worship with our wealth. So are we worshiping money, or are we using our money to worship? So are we glorifying God in what we're doing? And that's one thing, and I know earlier on in my career and life, I always wondered about, well, how can I honor God with my job? Well, if the job I'm doing is what he called me to do, then that's honoring him to fulfill his purpose for me. And I truly believe in doing this and sharing how to get people ready financially for retirement. And I really think that's what I've been called to do. It's my passion. I love helping people get ready for retirement. We all work hard for our lives, our whole lives, and we all deserve to have that retirement and do the things that we want to do. It doesn't matter how old you are, how younger. It's always better to start younger, but we all need a plan. And no matter what stage you're in, no matter where you're at in that phase, you got to have a plan in place. Your plan may look different from the person next to you. Someone that's starting at 30 versus someone that's starting at 50 or 55, your plan's going to look different. But you got to have the roadmap. You got to have the proper roadmap and a holistic roadmap, and with the same moral and biblical values, that we should have, and apply that in. So, if you guys have any questions, again, DM me on Facebook, make a comment in the comment section. I'll be happy to get back with you. If you want to have more of a detailed session, here's a link to my calendar. You can go to that and schedule a time with me. Happy to talk with you and digest some things with you. go through some Q&A with you and answer your questions. So guys, I'm looking forward to diving in more, how I can help you guys and take this journey. And I'm hoping to help as many people as we can. Have any questions about what we talked about tonight? If you want to schedule a call, please do so. We'll continue to dive down this path, but be thinking about, what are some of the challenges that you have that you're facing right now? What are your questions and concerns in and around, retirement planning? Shoot me a message. We'll dive into those. But do you have a plan in place? Think about that. Let me know how we can help. Check out the promos that we're running here. Go back into the Facebook group. Look at the some of the posts we have out there. Love to get you guys involved in an exciting new thing that we're doing on a coaching side. Get you into the ground floor and get that plan in place for you so you can have that peace of mind. Well, guys, like I said, if you have any questions, hit me up. I look forward to next week. We're going to be having a lot more content, put into the group. And until then, God bless, and we'll see you next week.